Hi, today I'm going to walk you through the soil erosion lab provided by Kansas Corn Stem. Hi, my name is Brent Connor. I'm a lead teacher here for the Kansas Corn Stem program. Today I'm going to walk you through the soil erosion lab provided by the Kansas Corn Stem. The purpose of this activity is to make the kids aware that soil is very important not only to agriculture but to the world, and the loss of soil is occurring every day, and there's got to be strategies there that farmers specifically put in to help retain as much soil as possible so that they can have successful crops, which means successful harvests for us as the consumers. The materials that you'll need for this are you'll need some soil. Usually you can just go outside and dig some up just so you have some soil. We'll need some 2-liter bottles. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. We'll show you the 2-bottle method today, and then we'll show you, we'll kind of tell you how you can do a 3-bottle method if you would like as well. You'll need 2 collection beakers. I use the 1,000 milliliter beakers for that. You'll need a knife that you can cut the bottles with, some kind of a binder, 1/2 inch to 1 inch are usually pretty good size for this lab. Wheat stubble, and I just got this from a local farmer. Just went out and he raked some up for me, and so that was pretty easy to obtain. And then I also have a Sharpie that you can transfer your template over to cut your bottles. So what are some of the effects of soil erosion? Well, first of all, soil erosion is the movement and transport of soil by various natural processes. It's responsible for the loss of 2.5 acres of agricultural soils per year. Soil is most affected by erosion, is the top layer, or the topsoil layer. Soil erosion is accelerated by sloped landscapes, removal of vegetation to create land space, soil tillage for agricultural and drought. Wind and water play a monumental role in soil erosion. Kansas is blessed to have the abundant soil, but each year approximately 190 million tons of Kansas topsoil is degraded through human activities, and it takes hundreds and hundreds of years to replace that. So we need to try to preserve what we have as much as we can. So for this lab, we are focusing on water erosion and some of the steps that the farmers are taking in order to help preserve that topsoil. A couple of those, one of the big activities that they're doing is they're using no-till crops and cover crops for that. So we're going to kind of compare the difference and the effectiveness of having a cover crop on our soil to help from that water erosion. There are a couple of videos on there for the teachers that you can show your class for that as well. So for the actual lab, what you'll need to do is kind of prep the bottles first. So we just have 2 regular 2-liter bottles. You can order these if you want. A lot of times I will just tell my kids, hey, we got a lab coming up. If you have any 2-liter bottles at home, bring them in with you. And usually you get a whole bunch brought into you anyway. So kind of makes them take a little ownership because they actually brought their own bottles in. So it's kind of a neat little thing. So in order to get this ready, you'll need about a 3-inch by 10-inch section cut out. So I usually just take my marker up here by the neck of the bottle, and I'll just kind of draw a little rectangle around there. Just so the kids kind of know where they're doing. We actually have a template that we'll lay over the top of that as well, and we can get you a copy of that in your packet. So, but we'll need both of these cut out, so we'll just draw those like so. All right. And so when you get those cut, it will look very similar to these, so you just have access to the top on that. For that. So then what we'll do is you need to add your garden soil. So we're going to put 3 cups of soil in each one of these, And then for the second one, then we will put our wheat stubble on the top to kind of activate as our cover crop. And we have a couple of them that are prepared. So I just labeled this one B, that is my cover crop one. So this is what the final one should look like. Now, if you were going to do the 3-bottle method, which is an optional part for you, it has a little bit of prep work in it, but you can also come in and plant wheat seeds in here and let the wheat seeds grow. And so that kind of that alternate cover crop there, you can kind of compare those to see if that was a possibility as well. But for us today, the wheat stubble will consider that cover crop. And to get this set up, so what you will do, you will need some kind of a tub, and I usually just use my soil tub here because you want to get this elevated just a little bit. You can also do this over the sink if you want, if you have sinks in your classroom, but if you don't have sinks, this works well to get this elevated up so the water doesn't run everywhere. So I'll put my binder on the top, we'll put our 2 bottles over the top, and then we'll just put our collection dishes right underneath there, and hopefully we can catch all of that runoff without a whole bunch spilling out. And then you can just use containers. You will need water acts as the rain and for the water runoff. About 700 to 800 mils of water is usually sufficient just to get enough runoff for you. And all I did is I just took 2-liter bottles, put those in there, and then I took the caps and just drilled holes in those. That's completely optional. You can just have a beaker to pour in there as well if you want to. And then all we do is we start at the back and we just kind of dump our water. Sometimes you kind of have to hold it a little bit, and then we're going to get our runoff as that happens. And you'll want to dump all of that in there at one time. I'm trying to get the... And then we'll just kind of let that drain for a minute. We catch as much as we can in there. And then as that's finishing, all we have to do is take our other bottle, and we're going to repeat the same process into our cover crop. And we will let that drain out a little bit. We'll kind of get these out of the way so you can see the... And then of course, if you did choose to do the 3-bottle method, you would just repeat the same process with the 3rd one and go from there. All right, so I'm going to kind of move these out of our way so we can take a look at our final results here. And so as you can see, I don't know if the camera can catch that. You can kind of see the difference. There's a lot more soil and sediment in this one than there is in the cover crop. So we can talk about the benefit of that cover crop holding that soil, preventing that water runoff from taking the soil with us. Some of the other options that you can have with this, depending on the level of your class, with our questions, you want to ask which one is, has the most erosion present, which has the least amount of erosion. So then we kind of tie that in as what is the role of that cover crop. And so we can kind of have those kids see that cover crops are very important to help sustain that soil in there. So you can actually make this a multiple day lab, depending on how you want. So you can just leave that set up, and you can come in and do this, multiple days to kind of see what, daily rainfall will do if we get a flood, and then we get more rain on top of that, and see how much soil we can actually lose for that. So I've done about a 3-day trial on that, and then we kind of compare each day to see if it increases, decreases. Does that does that cover crop actually give way at some point? It's kind of a neat little experiment for them. And the other thing you can do to take it a little bit further even is you can actually then drain off the water every day here, and then you can actually measure the amount of soil. So they can take the mass of the soil of what was in there. You can even, if it's actually a soil from a farm, you can even come through and nutrient test that water. As well, there'll be a different video on how to do the quality of the water lab as well, so you can keep that and do that there. Some of the careers that focus on the soil erosion: ag inspectors, ag specialists, soil and plant science, crop production specialist, and you know, any home gardener really. We actually had this problem in our home garden, so ways to fix the soil erosion from your garden as well. So that concludes the soil erosion lab. To see more labs, you can visit kansascornstem.com.